Hey everybody, it's time to talk about another Godzilla movie. Today's subject is the 8th entry in the series, 1964's Ghidrah the Three-Headed Monster, directed by Ishiro Honda. The Japanese title is, oh boy, I'm really gonna mess this up, Sandai Kaiju Chikyu Saidai no Kesen, which translated into English means Three Giant Monsters, the Greatest Battle on Earth. Thank you, Wikipedia. In addition to being King Ghidrah's first screen appearance, this is also the 6th Godzilla movie, the 3rd Mothra movie, and the 2nd Rodan movie. Yes, this is our first proper Toho monster mash. We have seen monster fights before this point, but this is the first movie to feature more than 2 kaiju going head-to-head. The story is about a foreign princess with assassins on her tail who gets taken over by an alien entity who uses the princess's form to spread prophetic warnings of death and destruction and monsters, including one from outer space that emerges from a big meteor. That's not a good plot description, but I'm not sure how else to put it. My mom and I did end up having to watch the English dubbed version of this one, streamed on Hoopla Digital. That's not my preference, but I did hear somewhere that in this case, the American edit isn't too terribly altered from the original Japanese version. In my previous Godzilla review, I mentioned that I wasn't sure about the correct pronunciation. Is it Ghidrah or Ghidorah? A few of you offered some helpful responses, for which I am very grateful. Since this English dub refers to him as Ghidrah, I will do the same, at least this time around, and when I get to the point when the pronunciation changes or they start calling him King Ghidrah, then maybe I'll switch to that. I did see this movie once before on TV a few years ago. I'm not sure what I thought of it. I had seen Godzilla King of the Monsters and Rodan right before I saw this one. I think I liked it, but I wasn't sure what to make of it. It was so different from any other movies that I'd watched. Now, things that may not have made sense to me then have context because I've watched all the preceding movies up to this point in order. Plus, I'm familiar with the style now, so things that might have struck me as cheesy or absurd when I was a stranger to the genre have become endearing. Well, okay, let's be real. A lot of it is still cheesy and absurd, but enjoyably so. And that's probably how you know you've become a Godzilla movie fan. My mom and I both agreed that this is one of the most entertaining movies thus far. The matter-of-fact introduction of aliens, because why not, adds a whole new layer of fun, and we got a lot of laughs just watching the monsters interact with each other. I love how much personality they have in this movie. They're sassy, they're stubborn, they mock each other and crow over their victories, they argue, Godzilla rubs his bum after Ghidrah zaps it. Godzilla and Rodan are way more interested in fighting each other than in joining with Mothra to help save Earth from Ghidrah, and I can't totally blame them. Why would Godzilla want to help after all the times people have tried to kill him? As for King Ghidrah, he's a favorite kaiju for a lot of people, and I can see why. He's inspired by an ancient Japanese legend of an 8-headed dragon, and is considered the chief antagonist of the Godzilla franchise. I know, you'd think Godzilla himself would be the chief antagonist of the Godzilla franchise, but trust me, he's going to go through a few revolutions over the course of the series. This is only the first time he's taking on a more heroic role. But back to Ghidrah, I love the visual effect for his first appearance. It's really impressive, almost gorgeous, and he's got a great signature design. Golden scales, 3 heads, 2 tails, wings instead of arms, which I find freaky for some reason. Dragons have wings, but they usually have 4 legs, don't they? And his movements are so crazy and chaotic. It's no wonder the other monsters can't handle him on their own. Reading up on it, I learned that the Ghidrah suit was a beast to manipulate. Stuntman Shoichi Hirose on the inside was stuck in an awkward, uncomfortable position, while on the outside a group of technicians used wires to move the other parts of the suit he wasn't in control of. Sounds like a nightmare, especially when parts of the suit or equipment would get caught or tangled and they'd have to stop and fix it. I'd also like to mention that in addition to the kaiju, there are a lot of familiar human faces in this movie too. at least if you've watched the previous ones. Takashi Shimura, Emi and Yumi Ito, Akihiko Hirata, Hiroshi Koizumi, Yuriko Hoshi. This was the final appearance in a Godzilla film for Takashi Shimura and for Emi and Yumi Ito, which makes me a little sad. Shimura always added a little gravity, and the fairy twins and their singing were a great addition to the films. By the way, this is not important at all, but I was under the impression before that Hiroshi Koizumi, who I mentioned in the last review that I've really come to enjoy seeing, he just has a really kind look about him, and I like that. I thought he was playing the same character here that he played in the last movie, Mothra vs. Godzilla. But if he's playing the same character, there's no indication of that, at least not in the English version. Maybe it's different in the Japanese version. You know who the most outrageous character was, though? This guy. This is Malmes, or Malnes, the chief assassin coming after Princess Selena. First of all, what's with the Elizabethan ruff? All the important people in the princess's native country seem to be wearing them, and I have no idea why. But more importantly, what's with the sunglasses? He wears them all the time, even when he changes his clothes, even when he's indoors, even when he's injured and is trying to shoot the princess. So, of course, I started to wonder, what horror is he hiding behind those sunglasses? His group of hitmen is pretty great too. They're like a gang of bad gangster cosplayers sneaking around trying to commit murder and failing horribly. It's hilarious. So my mom and I had a really good time watching this movie together. It's funny, it's engaging. It's not exactly a movie you can just jump into randomly, since it assumes you already know certain things about Rodan, Mothra, and Godzilla. But at this point, 8th movie in the franchise, I guess they don't really need to set up every monster every time. If you've gotten this far, you probably know who's who already. I hope you enjoyed this review. This movie is the last one that I've seen before, except for the 2014 film, so from here on out it's all pretty much new to me, although I do know of a few things that happen, a few ridiculous things, so I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I hope you will stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching!